week of Real Housewives of Potomac,
I
okay?
took my jacket off for this one.
Yes, things are heating up. Eating some crabs. Episode 16 of season 8, Boiling Point. Oh my gosh, things are literally heating.
I thought that was deliberate. It wasn't.
You know? Okay. So I'd like to start us off with a toast. Glasses ready? To the student becoming the teacher.
Cheers.
In what sense?
Oh my gosh, I thought Ellen was going to add to it.
Please.
I thought Ellen, I'm talking about Charisse and her little Iyanla Van Zant moment at the table. Okay. After having been, I almost wanted to say a contestant, a guest on Iyanla Fix My Life.
You might call her the Charisse Van Zant of Potomac. You are now watching Mind You Media.
Mind You!
We can't use that. We don't have the rights. You are now streaming Mind You Media. Okay, my drink is bad, but
I don't love mine either.
Yeah, I just had to take that time to.
Mine is a tonic, so it's not meant to be good.
Okay.
All right.
We're reversing the order of Charisse's thing. Her crabs were bad, but her drinks were good.
Yes, that's right.
So now we have to have good crab later today.
Okay. All right. So
one of them Cajun crab company meals
from the supermarket. They got them at the supermarket. Pathmark.
Oh, we ain't got that here.
No, Jersey.
Okay, let's move on. We are moving on to the recap, and I'm really excited. I'm feeling lucky to give this opportunity to a very deserving young woman.
Oh dear God.
Kristen, this is your time. It's never too late for a comeback. Okay?
I didn't go anywhere. To come back from.
All right. So she gets a minute to recap the show. All right. Are you ready? I'm going to count you down. Okay. And I'm going to say go after 3. Okay. So I'm going to count you up. That's just more natural to me.
Do what you got to do.
All right. 1, 2, 3, go.
Candace, Wendy, Keiarna meet at Keiarna's spa, where the production, in a very disrespectful way, shows Candace's coochie and Wendy's armpits. Boom. 2, Grace goes off to college and Gizelle is hot. She is like mad and mean looking. She's not even sympathetic at that point because she's being rude. We'll talk about it. Then Robin, Ashley, and Charisse get together at Robin's house where nothing ostensibly happens because, again, production is always manipulating what we see and we can't even understand what their gathering was there to discuss. We see Ikenna and Nneka. I don't even remember what they were doing, frankly, but we learned that Ike is finally in line with IUI, which is a strange thing to say about your husband. Karen and Gizelle meet up at Karen's house, where Karen makes Gizelle some cookies and is showing herself to be a friend, comforting her while she is going through the pains of Grace going away. Then the crab boil happens. Oh my God.
Wow, your time is up, but close. You were on the last event, mind you. There were 3 major movements to that event.
700 things in that event. The point in the recap is just that it happened.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, now tell us a little more.
Well, the crab boil is full of happenings, events, and shenanigans. First, we see Charisse host a crab boil. Shout out to season 1, where Charisse had a crab boil at the beginning of the franchise.
Episode 1, season 1.
Episode 1,
crab
right.
boil.
Karen emphatically is like she's not coming. She doesn't fuck with Charisse, and she's not going to play games, so she does not attend. Then we see Ashley. All the women show up. Charisse's very handsome son, Jackson, escorts these women in. I was noticing, I was like, okay, I guess that's nice for him to escort them in. It's not like he's carrying their umbrella. He's just walking alongside of them.
It made me wonder how far the parking lot is. Like, he had to flag them down and be like, this way.
Yeah. Yeah, but also I think it was intended to give him a little publicity for the growth of his modeling career.
I see.
I loved his little clear poncho raincoat. So you could
and
still
didn't he have
see-
like skin showing underneath that little clear poncho?
It was a fashion moment.
It was styled.
It was a runway, a rainy runway.
That's exactly what it was. And the production like gave us exactly what Charisse and Jackson were intending to give us.
Mostly lots of dynamics. I guess the major tensions that get aired are we see Charisse has invited Jacqueline. Mia comes and the women kind of invite Mia and Jacqueline to have a sit down, which they do, and they discuss kind of the state of where they are with each other and seem to pave a tenuous path forward in their friendship. Then Charisse asks Candace and Robin about the state of their relationship, where Candace kind of voices that she's now frustrated, additionally, because she has discovered through a friend that Robin ran to the blogs and a podcaster with their private text messages to try to make her look bad. And Robin, predictably, not an earnest person in conflict, is just like, I'm a hypocrite. Call me out. Call me a hypocrite. It's like, Robin, don't you want to grow? Don't you want to seem like a more serious person on television at least? Like, it's so childish. I know we've talked about her childish ways and arguments before. It's upsetting. What else? Let's keep track of Keiarna in this episode because I saw her in this crab boil making a move I didn't like. Wendy was not able to attend the crab boil because she was getting an award. Karen didn't come because she doesn't like Charisse. So Candace was literally in the wolves' den alone, showing up, doing her job. Now, why was Keiarna sitting on the opposite end of the table with Ashley and Robin while Candace was over there by herself, sitting between Jacqueline and Mia? And Candace can hold her own well, but it's like, that's your friend, girl. Why would you let her just hang out there, knowing what you know about the dynamics of the group, knowing that y'all just came from the spa together where y'all rehashed the dynamics of the group in DR? It's just not making a lot of sense. And what I miss,
we'll fill it in. You've brought up some questions for me, but we'll get to it as we go on.
So that's kind of what happened. But what happened is always a kind of asterisk with this show, and I feel like this episode is a further demonstration of that. Like, what happened is really just what the production decides they want to show us and pretend is a reality, and we have to kind of burden ourselves with reading through and trying to find the truth, or at least the absences, and that's just an unfortunate way to encounter this show.
Some critical fabulation.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
So
in the description book.
It's not critical though. It's we should call it narrativizing the narratively condemned status of those who symbolize Blackness for the show. That's a Sylvia Winter. Shout her out.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the first scene. Laser hair removal. Laser hair removal is happening at Keiarna's studio. Okay, Stewart, Beauty and Wellness, something like that. Okay. It looked like a nice place. Things looked like a vibe.
Yeah, it does look good.
Keiarna comes out, invites them back. I guess in the DR, Candace was saying she wanted to get laser done. And Keiarna was like, okay, let's see what we can do. They go back into the room. Wendy shows up as well. And
in a cute little outfit. Like, I'm not giving her the fashion award for this episode, but I love to see her in casual wear, like, or like, streetwear or whatever. She's often in like a fancy tight dress or whatever. So this is cute.
That's actually true. I liked her. I know I'm not one to give the fashion award, but that was my favorite look of the show.
Yeah, very cute.
All right, then what else happens? Take it away.
Keiarna looks good. In addition to her business seeming like a quality establishment, she looks great.
And let me just say also, even though I just handed over the reins, I was always wondering how Wendy and her met, but now I'm like, oh, did they meet through the business?
Oh, like Wendy went there to get work done?
Mhm.
No, because that was presumably, well, it's a beauty and wellness spa, so there are more services than hair removal, but that was Wendy's first hair removal. Yeah, it could be that. Could be
Yeah.
that. I mean, also Wendy works in Baltimore, right? Johns Hopkins is in Baltimore, so she could have a spa day, while she's in town or while she's, at work.
And maybe she's like very lit to get things like laser and stuff given her new body or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, maintenance is important. Okay.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's not like okay. Full disclosure, I'm just like I'm angry and I'm bored. Remember Katherine a couple episodes ago where you were like, how is it both boring and what was the other word you
and
said?
uncomfortable.
And uncomfortable. And like I get it this episode because probably, and like the reason why it took me this episode, not because I'm slow, I can't be slow, but like not in this respect. I think I have been feeling like I could mine the scenes for material still, right? Like what we do is like a close read. Okay, it's my training, so it's like things are occluded, things are buried, things are repressed. Like I'm gonna dig deep, but now it's just so glaring how manipulated we're being that I'm just like, oh, you fucking assholes. And then literally because they're robbing us of content, I'm just like, stop. Like you already released this clip of them at the thing, so that's half of it is already seen.
Right.
Okay. And then when they sit down for a conversation, I see how you cut and smooth together a conversation that probably didn't actually happen that way.
Yep.
And I'm sick of it.
It's like an unachieved orgasm. It's like you keep expecting that like a scene where all the women are together is going to like clarify some long thing.
Yes.
And then it's just like, ah! Wait, where'd it go?
A gathering of those three is actually probably a very good time.
Yes.
I mean, and frankly, it was one of the richest scenes of the episode. But that just speaks to my point. And yet I still feel like why'd you stop me from coming? Like like exactly. It's totally inappropriate. I hate it. Like that sit down after the laser hair removal. I mean, we should go back to the laser hair removal in the room. But that sit down afterwards, there's a like, here's one instance. And maybe I should. One instance is Keiarna is saying something, and this is classic TV stuff. They're doing the reaction shot. So it's on Wendy and Candace's face while Keiarna is presumably talking. I don't believe Keiarna said that thing at that moment. And then they cut to her saying, so Gizelle comes to the room and asks me how I'm doing. What they voiced over Keiarna saying was, I'm still upset with the offer. I'm sure she said that at some point. But I'm sure she didn't say it like that in that order. And those were the reactions. And even if it did happen like that, can't trust you fucking liars.
Yeah.
Because you lie.
Yeah. I don't believe that Wendy's first response to that was keep in mind. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
And they were drinking.
What was it again? Keep in mind what?
Keep in mind we were concerned about you or something.
Okay, right.
But like, keep in mind, I don't think that would have been her response to her friend, her initial response. And that's another splicing that makes Wendy seem like a bitch.
Because it's followed by the flashback to DR where Wendy is saying, I don't want to share a room with Keiarna. Like I was saying earlier, like it hit me that if I'm a person who only consumes Housewives by the clips on the internet that I see, if I see that clip and that flashback, I'm just like, oh, Wendy's rude. I don't like her. Why would she say that about her friend? Nobody wanted to share a room in DR, and nobody had to share a room with anybody in DR. So y'all throwing back to that clip is just like a mystification. Like,
of course, an out of context soundbite is their favorite strategy for manipulation. Because thank you, Kristen, for the like critical reading of the thing. Ultimately, those women who Robin assigned to share rooms didn't end up sharing rooms. So in other words, they found a way around it. And maybe in a moment where someone was like, so Wendy, you're sharing with Keiarna? Wendy responds, I'm not sharing a room with Keiarna.
That's exactly the
more than enough.
question. No, that is what I've always imagined the question to be that like elicited Wendy's response, and they've never played the question.
Yep.
But it's such a cheap, like, it doesn't even, it's not even an offensive comment. It's just offensive in light of the portrayal of Wendy you all have been constructing for seasons.
And also, I want to say, not only is that flashback Wendy saying it, but it's Wendy saying it set to Keiarna walking alone on a trip of women she's not friends or doesn't know very well. And so it makes it seem like poor girl walking alone in a different country with all the different people.
Vulnerable.
Yeah.
But these things have nothing to do with one another in the unfolding of the trip. It's just like
exactly. And it's like, by the way, like, do you think Keiarna wants to be in a room? Like, if she's sick with GI issues, you think she wants to share a bathroom with other women? You think she wants to be in a queen size bed this far from another queen size bed with her friends so that they can rub her belly? Like, what?
In the actual episode where that happens, Keiarna is actively looking for a single bathroom that she doesn't have to share with anyone.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know what I think now? It's making me think that the discussion that was had at the spa was like potentially Candace and Wendy bringing up, no, girl, why did you bring up this thing about you being upset with us twice, knowing we were among wolves and an unfriendly context? And Keiarna probably, walking back the fact that she brought it up some and saying, well, I was just upset. And that's what they replayed to like.
Yeah. Gizelle was the first one to come to me. So in my head, I was like, what is going? Yes, that's probably it. Some version of that discussion, because the way her comment about Gizelle comes in, like, again, the voiceover happens. We're getting a Candace Wendy reaction shot when we presumably hear Keiarna saying, I'm still upset that y'all didn't come. And then what they do, they replay the confessional moment of Keiarna saying, I was surprised that the women didn't come. We saw, you already played that for us.
It was last week, yes.
And over repetition, another key strategy of manipulation of theirs.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. And to this edit of Wendy the monster, so we know that in the course of them sitting there having the discussion after, and again, we're going to return to the laser hair removal. But in the course of that conversation, they're bringing up Robin invoking defamation and slander. In other words, using legal jargon to suggest Candace has so violated her, it is now against the law, right? She is now breaking the law. And then they feature Wendy going, what law school you go to? They did such an isolated, what law school you go to? Music, boom, period.
And
sound.
Turn up her voice, because she says it under her breath as they're talking. So it's like, that could have been easily missed. You turn it up, so we all heard that.
So that she looks like an elitist?
Yeah.
It's a shady comment on par with all the shady comments everyone makes. And by the way, it's not even as shady as it is literal incredulity. Like,
it was an appropriate question.
Terms. She doesn't know what they mean because she is misapplying them.
Yes. Given that she's accusing people of defamation, it is a totally, appropriate question.
Erroneously, that's not what that is, ma'am. So what law school did you go to and learn how to use that word?
Literally, last week we was making jokes like she went to the Michael Darby School of Law because she can fucking wield a lawsuit against any and everyone. So
I could see her having gone to that school. Imagine her taking
she was a big Michael Darby supporter in the beginning.
Exactly. Her and Juan. Yes. They went to the school together.
Yep.
Instead of therapy, that's how they spent their.
Juan was the valedictorian of that school.
And not the valedictorian. And then
he was probably so proud. Okay, go on.
Okay, enough.
Ernie's little tassel. I bet he gave a speech.
Instead of a handshake,
I was just he's up and the Michael's in the back. Okay, enough. Actually, that just turned for me.
Got an ass grab as he walks across the stage.
No.
Usually you shake the hand. He went.
Now you got a degree.
No.
Now you got a degree.
Come for me. Darby, you know you do it.
In a related lambasting of Wendy, they feature her. Candace leads this conversation actually by asking her how her show is going. And what do? They flash back to Wendy having a conversation with the new, younger producers she's hired. And she says, I forget what she was. They played her showing the original expected start date.
Yeah.
They played her
asking
they
if
said
it was going to
6
be
weeks ago when she's having the conversation with the people of production. Yeah, they timestamped it 6 weeks ago. And she asked, in about a month, could we debut? It's like, you think that's a read? It's 2 weeks off. Like, y'all are really trying to roast her for, you're not, like, they have consistently done this all season long. It's as if they don't believe she's really going to set this project into motion, or even, it's not about doubting whether she's going to set it in motion. It's about just mocking her.
Yeah.
Mocking her en route to inaugurating this thing. Like,
but they've done that. They've done that with every one of her projects. They did it with
I was just about
candles, to say the business with Peter, the restaurant. And it's like the
library club.
The what?
The library club. They made it seem like you want books at the, remember that?
Yeah. It's like, in this instance, what she actually says too is like, we'll let you say that I'm having trouble securing, visit, or what do you call them? Like, or whatever. I'm having trouble securing guests. It's like, yeah, we'll let you play out that part of your failed little mission because that corroborates our little storyline for you.
Yes, and it's like, the crazy thing is like, oh, you want to mock her? This is precisely what her training equips her to do. Before she came on the fucking show, she was a correspondent on all these talk news outlets. So what are you saying? Like, why is this grounds for mocking her? Like, oh, this black girl with her dreams. Like, you're showing your ass. You're showing your ass.
Well, you know what it says? It says like, you're only good for being like parodied on our show. Like, you might have a degree, you might be a little pretend professor by day, but you're only good for like undermining the esteem of that real prestigious shit by like playing and being unreasonable on Housewives.
God forbid you should attempt to self-authorize using narrative, because you are merely a pawn in the plot we are constructing about you. Exactly.
Right.
We got to talk about that too with the Watch What Happens Live that you saw too. Yeah, let's talk about that.
But get to okay, they don't want Wendy to be a serious person.
Back
but
to
what
the laser
happens?
Room.
Yes, in the laser room.
They further just like inappropriately, ungenerously, and like in a kind of violating way are showing Candace and Wendy getting treated, getting their laser treatment. They have Candace's whole coochie out, really. Like, all the way down. Zoomed in all the way down.
And I will leave the underarms aside, because underarms get shown, right? Like,
if you're talking, if you're
like that happens on TV. But to show, so it's like they can't actually, because of censorship laws, feature her full-on cooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then the like cover it's like covering actually what might be considered not suitable for TV, and then we see the beginning part of it, but it's also like you're getting dangerously close to her fucking crotch, and then they feature the blur in the boundary between the cover and her body. Why are you blurring it? That wasn't her vagina must be this short if that was her vagina. They're blurring it, America, because we all know what a blur signifies on obscenity. And they would love to stamp Candace with the mark of obscenity. And to me, it's nothing other than the white gaze of production mocking her.
Yeah.
Mocking her and her body.
Yeah. Absolutely. And reaching for straws, mind you. Like, Candace has the cutest little tight little fit little body you could ever want. It's like, let me grasp for a way that I can. Oh, you have a successful aspiring music career. You seem to be happy in a communicative relationship with a big house. Let me see.
But we got something on you. You got a vagina.
Like, yes.
And for people who don't realize, like, it is not uncommon in the gay community to mock the fact of a woman's vagina. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like if you scroll through Grindr, if you scroll through like gay men dating apps, what you will see enumerated is no fishy bitches.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Fishy.
Okay, this is a way of signifying like disparaging the reproductive organs of women and literally disparaging them for the fact of it. It's like we don't want that shit, and like gay men who are like the objects of ridicule for this will tell you like effeminacy is also mocked and ridiculed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. It's about like perceptible, like, feminine performance. We don't want that. It's just like, we don't want the smell of your smelly vagina. We don't want to, like, what?
And even when they want that, discursively, they have to reject it. Like, even when they want it, they're just like, but don't bring that shit here. It's like, meanwhile, you might be choosing men who appear more or less effeminate to you, but you have to make a note, like, we do not abide that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's nasty. I marked the armpit only as like, it's like it's like grooming, it's almost like if they were to show them like getting their wig installed or something like that. We all have it, like it's a nice looking armpit, we all do it, but why do you want to, y'all are at pains to have a very careful close-up of their grooming, like doesn't seem right.
Yeah, like the zoom lens was activated.
That's an interesting scene to them. Oh, people will want to see this, Why?
I've seen people on Twitter like, we could have done without that scene. So
yeah, truly.
Check the feedback, fools.
Yep. Well, all right. On to Grace. What? Why are you laughing?
Such an appropriate transition to the next.
Grace.
No, but it is. It's actually stark. Because what we get next scene is a montage backed to a beautiful song, a beautiful and moving and sentimental song.
I know, right? I was like, "Where's my triangle?"
It's a version of femininity we honor motherhood in the form of Gizelle.
We have never gotten a stronger montage music.
Never.
It was very sentimental. They knew exactly what they were doing. The time of day, so the sun's not out. It's all this burgeoning, Okay, so viewers, this is the scene of Grace leaving for college. Okay, she's leaving early morning to catch a plane to go to school in Florida. There's a lot happening that we can decipher. Okay, so we have the twins are up wearing PJs.
It's 6:30.
At 6:30. Hugging Grace goodbye. They are not going to the airport on this trip with Gizelle. Okay. Why do we think that is?
Ooh.
You in the front.
I think they're not going with Gizelle because Gizelle won't let them. It doesn't make sense. We have seen these children are 1 year apart. A set of twins and their elder sister by 1 year. They are best friends. Okay. Why would they not take her to college? Why would they not move her into college?
Why both of them? Like maybe one has a thing, but both of them don't have a thing.
That trumps going to you could have a game. You could have a soccer game and miss it to take your sister to college.
For sure.
Think about Gizelle's own admission. She's going to be devastated. She has a hotel off campus while, where she'll stay while they move her in. It's like, Gizelle, you're going to be alone in the hotel room at night crying by yourself. You don't want some company? You don't want your kids to hold you down? Like,
she just wants that bottle. She's going to be.
Literally, she's just going to have some Don Julio. And I think the point, no, that's not the one she likes. I forget.
Casamigos.
No, it's Clase Azul that she likes.
She was drinking Casamigos Reposado a lot at the early.
A lot.
On Ultimate Girls Trip, she staged a whole ass witch hunt for a missing bottle of Clase Azul.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I mean, don't watch it because it was whack. It was a whack season, but Anyway, yeah, it's actually crazy because more than the comfort, because maybe the twins are not comforting her, and I rock with them for it because I consistently see them go, mother, please, like enough, mom. Like they are constantly shutting her down, and production is just like, blur those scenes and put some music behind it so we can't really tell. I'm peeping. Those are not just angsty teenagers. Those are teenagers who like have got their mom figured out and are sick of it.
Yeah.
But they want to say goodbye to their best friend and sister. Like they should be able to do that. I don't understand why they wouldn't be there.
Well, that's what caught my attention is that one of the twins, when she's hugging Grace goodbye, says, "Will you still call for afternoon prayer?" And Grace says, "Yes, of course I will." If you want to pray with your sister every day,
yeah,
you would want to take her to college.
You know what the answer is? It's, Karen's advice that in the midst of your sadness, you're missing the moment. It's like Gizelle can't think about anybody else right now beside her own suffering. And so it's like nobody can be suffering more than her. She loves Grace the most. She comes up to saying that in various ways, but it's like, no, I can't honor her by the fact that y'all might have a relationship that's close or important. I'm the one who's primarily suffering.
But specifically, like, no, y'all can't come. To remind you, like, no, we have a special relationship, and I'm not gonna let you infringe on it. That's what she has done that since we met them. Since we met those beautiful, precious, sharp, witty little girls. Gizelle has consistently been like, Grace is mine. Y'all over there.
Them other girls. When she said them other girls, I was just like,
yes,
she's being recorded, right?
Yes. She thought it was funny and we laugh along, but it's like we've seen the disparate treatment, so it can't be funny now.
Yeah. And I think frankly they're upset. Like they at some moment they clock like mom is trying to deflect from the sadness because they're like, Mom, like, because I think like they're just like, can we be honest and authentic in our feelings? And mom always wants to like make a joke, say something curt and like or angry. And it's just like, you're not letting us feel our feelings. And of course, they like in the course of this like beautifully constructed montage, they feature Grace and Gizelle in the confessional. And Gizelle's like, it's just gonna be different. It's just not gonna be the same. And then Grace is like, you can cry, Mom. She's not crying. She's specifically not crying because it's just like, well, when is the legitimate emotion gonna come out of you?
Yes. And Gizelle leans on that. It's just going to be different. She leans on, well, it's just always been since, she's talking about this long arc of history. And it's like, just say you're unwell.
Yeah.
And to on that point, when she goes to Karen, and she's also just like, indulge the fact that I am suffering. Like, give me care the way I want to be cared for. Karen is like, I'm here. Here's some cookies. I understand what you're going through, but I'm not like, it's not happening to you. Your child is growing up. Like, experience the feeling of the severance, but like it's like no one's doing it to you.
Yeah. And I think everybody, probably the kids, I mean, the girls, feel strongly like Grace hasn't been allowed to like be the star of this like pivotal moment in her life. Like it's been about you very consistently because they seem over it like that. Like, like I kind of get it. Like, I don't know how. It's probably because, Gizelle's an 8. I can identify with that. Just like not even from the stance of the 8, but from the stance of the people around. Like your feelings cannot be bigger than the kids. Like then the one who this is about. Like
well, and that's also what I dislike about the whole commentary of it's going to be different. It's always been this way. If you said, Grace, I'm going to miss you. If you made that the thing, then at least in that moment, Grace knows I'm loved. It's about me. My presence will be missed in the home. Not like, oh, I'm shaking up the dynamic in the house and things will be different.
Yeah. And those are just, by the way, the like versions of the things we get. This is my thing. I can tell by the affects, the gestures, the like, little looks, the smaller moments of these scenes. Like, I mean, and also like in the history of the show, those louder moments where the the kids are regularly challenging her, that's how I can tell what's going on, because production is not showing us Gizelle say anything too off the wall. But if you pay close attention, you see on her face anger. You see the kids like, Mom, please, Mom, like they're not joking, like, and they're not just angsty teens. And part of the reason we all love them is because they seem like willing to be, to speak up for themselves. Like they have a kind of conviction about like one of the flashbacks is like her being like, and Karen can't take a joke. Like, maybe you should make a mean joke, Mom.
Right. And I bet Gizelle feels challenged by the twins, especially because they are two of them. They have to confirm their reality. So Gizelle can't like impose as effectively her, in her sense of things. It's like they can be like, you see this? You see this? No, Mom.
The fact of their twinness, it's like she had her own team, they had their team. Now she's down a teammate.
Yes. And mind you, in this scene, the time where Gizelle's face looks the like angriest in the most like incongruous way, like is when at the 6:30 departure, she has put the bags in the car and the twins are hugging Grace and saying they're like, oh, will you call? And Gizelle's hanging back with her hand, with the door open of the driver's seat, scowling.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, y'all are having this sentimental like, come on, hurry up, let's get in the car.
Yes, because it's almost like an expression of feeling and like sadness and grief among the three of them is like them fomenting like revolution or revolt against her. I believe that, like, right, because it's about power for Gizelle fundamentally at all times, and it's kind of just like, don't act like you're closer with her, like, she would get competitive like that.
Right.
That's what it looked like. Yes.
Okay, before we like move on.
All right, well, wrap it up with this little comment.
One thing I want to note about the scene is that one of the flashback moments is them all sitting at a restaurant. I mean, it's when Gizelle announced that she was going to have her hysterectomy and she said, I'm going to have my uterus removed. And if we recall, that scene did not go as Gizelle hoped it would. The girls first go, ew, Mom, don't.
Yeah.
Like, they don't take it as seriously. And it's partly because their mother is not good at like sticking to vulnerable emotions. So they can't read that she's actually really fearful about this. She's not giving fear in her face. So they're like, okay, Mom, we're kids. Like, does that have some significance that we should be like responsive to emotionally? That anyway, the point is that it's baby Grace who ends up having to console Mom by giving her some very crucial advice. And that advice is super illustrative of who Gizelle is and what Grace understands about her. She says, Mom, they could remove everything off your body and you would still be the same person. And they cut to Gizelle's face going, I don't know if my expression, but it looks angry, but it's confusion.
Yeah, you got to put your tongue out a little bit.
She did not have her tongue out.
I felt like she had it to the side, like she licked her lip, like they were eating. She was like
eating.
And I think it's telling because, by the way, a uterus is inside, right? But Grace said they could take everything off you. And I feel like it's, Mom, I know you think your entire sense of yourself is predicated on your attractiveness or your beauty. And the truth is, like, those things are superficial. You should understand that. And then you're going to feel okay about this procedure.
And that is why I know I said we're wrapping it up. So I'm wrapping it up with this response is that is why that was the best montage we've seen on the show is that every clip of Grace they had, it was her like just being real and giving her opinion, standing up against her mom, but also being kind. Like it was just like, it was really like, this is who Grace is,
Yeah. Like, in other words, Grace is resisting the production's heavy-handed attempt to deify Gizelle. Like, even in those scenes, you can read her resistance. Like, no, my mother's not a saint. I still love her. And I am here to gently correct her in her, like, ugliest moment.
they've like made that their kind of admitted project among each other, is to be like, okay, to the extent that we get featured on the show, let's bring her to heel, or like let's cut her down aside. Not to be cruel, but to be like, no.
To rehabilitate her.
Yeah.
Well, but also they'll look crazy if they don't. They know what they would like be embarrassing themselves.
I mean, mom also like accidentally happened to raise young girls, emerging women who will challenge power where they see it. Thank God for that. Like that's a side effect of her being the 8 mom. They will have absorbed the strategy of like, we gonna tell the truth.
I don't think she did that accidentally. It's still surprising. I think she did, not because I don't think she sees herself as the thing that they would come against. But like, I think that she thought, oh, I'm going to gird you against, like fortify your defenses against the world.
Yeah, okay, fair. But in terms of their relationship to her, I think she will have.
That was a mistake.
She probably did it in ways. She probably did it in ways of like, I'm going to like imbue faith in you. I'm going to imbue like confidence in these kind of abstract ways. But like the way that it comes out is probably not always the way she wants. She doesn't want to always be critiqued in that way.
Yes, she didn't think it would bounce back on her. Okay. All right. So now let's just breeze through this scene because what can really be said? We didn't see it. Ashley and Charisse at Robin's house. The one thing I was annoyed off rip when Ashley walks up and she has to comment.
Typical.
Yes, that Robin's grass is dry.
And then they show it and it's like, no, it's
fine.
not.
No,
it's green as hell.
Yeah. She says, that grass is thirsty. It's like shout out to the very first episode where Katherine was reading Ashley's scene with her mom in the little plant nursery. I can come here all the time, like shoring up her little new persona as home owning gardener. Like shut up, Ashley.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, look at Robin's house. It's cuter than yours, okay?
And the grass is green, well moisturized, unlike your hair, okay?
Truly.
No, but then the other thing that is typical, like this is the perfect allegory for who Ashley is, right? She's walking in the door, points to something that's not real, and narrates it in accordance with her insecurities. Grass is looking thirsty, opens the door, walk in. How's beautiful when confronted with the person who she was just talking shit about. In other words, she is what we call an internet troll, okay? She's not going to say that shit to the person's face. She's going to use an opportunity to say the shit behind their back. And then when she's in their face, she's trying to ingratiate them.
Yeah.
Contrary to her narration of herself, because you remember was it in DR when she said to Candace, the difference between me and you is that in Austin, yeah, you say it on social media and I say it to people's face after you have run across many other people behind their back is when you finally come.
And she never challenges whoever is seen to have power, right? Like, yeah, you might call out Candace. Yeah. In other words, you might talk shit about Candace, invent stories about Candace, like exert extensive amounts of energy to criticizing Candace because Candace is on the bottom of the hierarchy among the cast members, but you don't say shit to Gizelle.
Never.
You don't say shit to Robin.
Yeah. And she's the most bold when she is against Candace, when she's around Gizelle and Robin.
Yeah, and that's none other than jealousy.
Yep.
I mean, it's jealousy that motivated her critique of the lawn too. When it was
naked. It's so naked. It's like, girl, no, shut up.
Okay. So while they're at Robin's house, Charisse reveals that she's having a crab boil and it's gonna be great, and everybody's invited, including Jacqueline. Okay, Mia's ex-BFF. They've developed quite the friendship. We've heard about it all season when Charisse is on, so it's exciting to see. Okay, what's gonna come?
Here's my question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What else was discussed at that gathering?
I'm sure plenty of random things.
No, but nothing. You know what? Can I answer your question, Kristen? The scene was 80% production footage. That's first of all. And then I said, oh, y'all are so stupid. Just robbing us of the content to reproduce flashbacks that we've already seen. Enough is enough. We've already seen this season. Stop reusing the same shit. And then I thought, nah, but with this 3 gathered, can we imagine anything interesting really happened?
So my initial thought was nothing interesting happened. Oh, sorry. Go on, Kristen.
I was just gonna say, it's gotta be some bones that were collected. I'm sure, like, it's possible that, I don't know, like maybe Ashley was, spilling the beans about the sexual assault event there. Like, I'm sure that stuff was coming up. Like, maybe shit was talked about DR. Like, I'm sure that there was stuff.
That's what I was gonna say, is that my initial thing was like, yeah, I'm sure they talked about random stuff, what Robin's boys are doing, what Ashley's boys are doing, just boring. But I do think they had to have talked shit about DR for quite some time.
Yeah.
And usually that is the type of thing we see people relaying trips on this show all the time. So it's curious that was not really a big thing.
Because first of all, production does not think we care about women's conversations. That's
that's the main thing.
But maybe also the way the conversation was hatched, it does not bode well for the people they want to boost and endorse.
I think that's really what it is.
Give us your sense.
Like, maybe it made them look petty, tacky, and pathetic. So they were like, cut that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or maybe they were giving expression to some things that are not consistent with production's narrative, like, AKA revealing details about, the conflict between Robin and Candace, like Gizelle's blah, 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 right? Maybe things were unfolding there, like more details that they intend to obscure from us. So they had to cut all of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because once you start cutting, you have to keep cutting. It's like lying.
You have to cut every reference if you can find it.
Which makes sense because so many of the cuts that happen seem so gratuitous. It's like, why are you cutting that? It's like, oh, somebody might have made a passing reference to something that you decided that we can't see or can't know or will undermine what you want the story to be. So then cutting just has to proliferate.
Yeah, except if we went back and watched for those passing references that were not so suggestive, but were very suspicious, I bet you we'd have 30 per episode. Like some things that are like, that wasn't compatible with the scene. Like that reference something that I'm a little confused about. But it's hard to track those because the whole episode is that.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. Well, it gets to the point. It even got to the point in this episode when people are using pronouns. I started getting confused. Like, who's the her Charisse is referring to?
Stop it, please. Like, enough. Please stop it.
My guess about what they were talking about.
That might have been who she was referencing.
Yes. Right. My guess is that not only were they talking about Candace and Wendy, of course, but I think that on the DR trip, I also think that they were probably talking shit about Karen, and that didn't make them look good.
Yes. Oh, you're
Ashley
right.
And Mia, I think Ashley definitely, if the question of whether I should invite her came up, I know that Ashley was like, well, you know what she told me about the status of their friendship. I bet she was bringing that.
They probably spent the most time talking about Mia and Karen. And it just didn't fit.
Sorry, say what you were going to say about
No, and the Karen thing. Okay, the Karen thing, because the show cannot compromise Karen, and their dominant agenda this season is to mark a division. Wendy and Candace on the outside, all the other women here.
Yes.
Which is why we get this boring ass next scene of Karen and Gizelle. Nothing happens in that scene either. They totally could have cut it. If we're on the cutting room floor, I assure you, this one is less interesting than all of the shit we actually don't end up getting. But they need to keep shoring up. They're together. They're happy. They're friends. Like, even if it glaringly contradicts stuff we've seen in other scenes, other episodes, if they're talking shit about Karen, it makes it seem like the division is along different lines.
Yes. And that's the thing. Karen loves to say she is the fence. Okay. But you make a lot of, a lot of people are going to talk shit about you continuously if you are that person. You end up being in a lot of different stories, looking a lot of different.
Not just people are going to talk shit about you if you are that person. They led the season and the past 3 seasons with a plot. Whomever did not fall in line with that plot.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
by the way, when we going to talk about that? Because your girl is maybe when I have all my receipts gathered, reunion style, I will lay them out. Because the case for a plot being launched about who we're going to go after with the ultimate interest of getting them kicked out, but at the very least of humiliating them, of them getting the villain edit, my receipts are accumulating.
That's true. And I forgot that Ashley is this other person at Robin's house
the
besides
cheerleader.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'll have a fully loaded cost accounting of that coming.
Coming soon.
Okay.
And one thing though that does get said that I think is interesting, but of course we don't get the elaboration of it anywhere. When Robin comes in, when Charisse arrives, I think maybe Charisse is like, you haven't been answering my calls or something like that. And Robin is like, oh, da-da-da-da. And Charisse is like, oh, trust me, I'm not worried about you.
Oh, I missed this.
Was this with the crab boil and I'm putting it in the wrong place? I think it was.
No. That was there because I remembered thinking, because we had gotten the preview about Charisse going rogue at the crab boil. So I remember thinking, oh, she's going to confront Robin about something.
Yes, that's what you thought, right?
Thought that.
Yes.
It was very clearly, it was sharp and it was jabbing. It wasn't like, I'm not worried about you girls. It was like, I'm definitely not worried about you. And I was like, ooh,
what do you think? What do you think that's about? What?
Who can know? Who can know? That's my,
we're not going to find out this season, period. Okay.
Yeah. And this is my anger. Like, I'm grasping at straws to speculate because I'm being lied to very consistently. Like, I think that's it. I'm mad because I'm being gaslit. I know exactly what it feels like. Lots of experience with narcissists. I know exactly what it feels like to be gaslit. And I'm weary. It's like, it zaps your energy when you're gaslit. It is an energy suck.
That's so true. Okay. I'm like reflecting. Yes. Okay. Moving on, but that was a very important thing to note with the Charisse and Robin. Okay, now we are at another quick scene. We are at Keiarna and Nneka's house.
And the dog.
and animal. Animal. Hey, animal.
Nneka's getting her makeup done and yelling at the dog.
Let me just
speak on it.
It becomes relevant once we see her at the crab boil, but it's like, oh, okay, so somebody hired a makeup artist to try to clean up her act. Then we see her at the crab boil. We say, oh, the artist is the problem.
Yes. No, that's what I was thinking when I saw the artist in the house. I was like, okay.
But what's crazy is that at some point in the chair, the woman is not finished. Nneka's looking good. I said, okay. She
go back and do the
12 more layers. Like, oh my God.
Well, maybe the artist leaves and Nneka's unsatisfied.
And Nneka touches it up like on America's Next Top Model.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's possible. That. You know what? That's very possible.
She's drinking champagne, looking in the mirror like,
I need more.
Yes.
Or she turns like a camera on and she's like, what's the camera version gonna look like? And then she's like,
yes. Yes, that is what she does. So they're talking about having kids.
It's like, that's the only content of their conversation. She calls him over while she's getting her makeup done. Be like, Keiarna, okay, so we're going to harvest the follicles next. So, and then, there's no lovingness.
And he comes in like that little boy who she's fostering, who plays his video games in the room, except for when she calls him in.
He's playing his video games in the room. That is exactly what he's doing.
Like, he walks and he's like, "Oh, the dog's here." Like he like seems like a kid too, because it's just like,
nice.
And consider that we know about their relationship. They don't spend no time together. Like, why is the time that they have together not like an intentional, like, excitement, some kind of like, at least
they're not even having sex in the time
they're
that
newlyweds.
it's so strange. Like,
Okay, so then he's like, Animal, do you agree with this IUI thing?
That was cute. I like Keiarna and Animal.
No, that's what I said. Oh, they're so sweet together.
And
Like,
Animal had just a procedure recently. He had that little shaved bit. I was like,
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, like those two should just like be mates and be off. Like, like give us more of them together without Nneka present.
They would be good for like cartoon, like a PBS Kids,
And I think Animal likes him better. I think Animal likes Keiarna better than his mom.
With that interaction, it's like Keiarna is honoring Animal's like presence as a being or something. Like, tell me what you read of this dynamic. Whereas like for Nneka, he's just a little prop, like
and then Animal is just like, thank you for asking what I think.
Yeah.
This is what it's gonna be like if they have kids.
Yeah, yep. And that's why Animal leaves the room and is like, get somebody else to do it.
Wow. I'm literally praying for the children.
I want a dog named Animal now.
I know, same. I'm gonna get a fish named Animal. That's what
the dog is not named Animal, right?
I don't care. He's Animal to me. All right.
This is just like Keiarna's, as a Nigerian, his consistently underscore, it's like ironic or whatever. He's like,
yes,
we're letting animals in the house, huh? Okay, Animal, what's up?
Yes. It's like when I call everything a dog. Okay.
Katherine is also Nigerian.
Is that right?
Anything else from this scene, or can we cut to Karen and Gizelle?
Yes. Keiarna is like, he's gonna be the next president, in reference to the child that is not even inseminated yet. And Nneka is like interjecting, like, no, I don't need him to be all that. I'm just happy with a healthy. I'm like, oh,
I was like, I swear I was not on drugs. I literally was sitting there like, like she's really gonna show us she can be
a healthy NBA player.
Yes.
NBA player. I was hopes dashed.
Hopes dashed. Yes, I was like, oh God. But I think it's so rich, right? It's very rich. It kind of said respectability, president. And she said, no, like, I don't know. It's one of those things where she wasn't even going to say that. She pivoted. It occurred to her, like, I need something spicier to say, right? Like the first legitimate reaction, not good. The key to an inauthentic person, they will not settle on their authentic response. They must always scandalize, inflame, adorn, embellish. Okay.
And what's awkward with Nneka is that her things never hit. People are never scandalized in the end. They're never shocked, never,
Yep.
It's almost like you regard Nneka like, why did I even give you my time? Like, why did I even why did I even
it all ends in cringe. It all like, like it just
yeah. But I think that it's like, by the way, everyone, historically, the nation's presidents have been first attorneys. Guess what Nneka does for a living? She's a lawyer. And she said, not president, something like, you would think the person who has the profession that is more or less the like terms of eligibility for president would endorse that. But she's like, just healthy.
But what does that say?
Entertainer.
Like, what does that say about what, like, is she like, I should have really not done all this work to be an attorney and just really pursue housewife? Like,
I think that she did that because she felt like that's what her parents wanted her to do, or maybe, but she has no interest.
That's interesting because that statement is preceded by her saying, like, I know my family in the Nigerian community is going to feel weird about this insemination process that we're not getting pregnant naturally, but I don't care and I can't care. And I said, oh, no, that's an interesting order of operation. It seems like if you said you can't care, that undermines the fact that you just said you don't care.
She can't afford to care.
Like,
because what matters more is that she actually have the baby by any means necessary. Like, do the means matter more than the ends? Certainly not. Like in my community, I better do this, this, and this, meet these benchmarks. So eventually they'll forget the means, right? Like,
and just like the job, she does not want the baby.
Exactly.
So is the NBA player then, like, does that represent somebody who is like has status and means without like the clamoring striving that she's been subjected to? Like, is that what that represents for her? Like, the kid can be an NBA player because I don't want to have to like put them on the same striverly track that I was put on.
I feel like it's just wealth, like wealth, fun, lifestyle.
President is like, it's like wealth that inevitably will accompany like, the top echelons of power. But it's like, no. We don't need that. We need visibility. We need celebrity, right? Like that's what celebrity means. Visibility, adulation. That's it.
Relevance.
And you think like, if you know lawyers, you can often track like your personality is such that you would have become a lawyer, right? Like you're litigious, right? You're a contrarian. You might be also a hard worker. You might be somebody who shows deference to authority. I mean, that last one actually that tracks with that. It's just the deference to authority thing, right? But more importantly than that, it was the status. And then she was like, "Oh my God, there were more fruitful ways to acquire status without me having to bust my ass through law school." Dang, and look at me now. Like, I'm not famous enough. If I had really been on this celebrity track from the beginning,
I feel like ones and threes are lawyers, and some other numbers pursue the profession and are very unhappy.
Ones and threes.
Six is also.
Yeah, six definitely. Anyways, okay, let's go on to the main event. Okay, we're gonna
skip Karen and Gizelle because don't nobody care.